Yeah, the curly locks of Larry Bruno back in the day, and you know the Larry Bruno Foundation, July 29th. They are having their big dinner, and of course we were at the foundation last week talking to Steve Higgins. And Steve Higgins, before we actually started the film, leaned into me and he said, the prototype for the Larry Bruno Foundation all started when they came here, when Larry Bruno, East Liverpool, was enshrined into the Upper Ohio Valley Lou Holtz Hall of Fame. And the man behind the brand, and the man that is here to talk about Larry Bruno, the football player, the student at East Liverpool, because everybody needs to know that the magical coach that he was, it all began right here in East Liverpool. So tell me about Larry Bruno. Frank Dawson.
Well, I knew Larry from early times when he graduated from East Liverpool High School. He was class president, and he took that job very seriously, and he never missed a reunion of his class. He always came, he and Jenny, who was also from here. She was a Winters. And Larry Bruno was beyond comparison. There was nobody like him. And I saw Joe Hamilton the other night at the Penn Ohio game, and they used to have a little Bruno's Breakfast Group, which you could have sold that for a big revenue, but Woody Woodachek from Midland, Stan Ukika, Vic Martinetti, and I saw Joe at the game. I said, Joe, do you still have the Bruno's breakfast? He said, no, once Larry was gone. Never.
He was endearing to so many people, and he spent time in Monaca as a football and basketball coach, but his really claim to fame was Beaver Falls, and Joe Namath, so many other players. But what I want everyone to do is obviously be a part of this dinner July 29th, help out the Larry Bruno Foundation. But I want you to all know, long before he became a coach and was drafted in the 12th round by the Steelers and went on to Geneva College, Reeve Stadium in Beaver Falls, he was a tremendous football player here in East Liverpool, was he not?
He was exceptional, played here and some of the great teams, and it was just such a good part of the community. But won the Bill Booth Award, which Bill Booth Award is a premier award at our high school, and of course Larry held Bill Booth up as his hero, and when he received the award, it meant a lot to him.
So he ends up going, you went to Baldwin Wallace, Geneva College, a lot of similarities, just an incredible school. But what made him really go to Geneva College?
Well, he, of course, was close, and he got a scholarship. And I had mentioned a while ago, they said, if you go to Geneva, we'll keep you out of World War II. And Larry said, boy, that sounded good to me. Well, he said, 6 months later, I was on Guadalcanal. So.
What good that did. Hey, but I just want people to understand, he was an incredible coach of student athletes, and everybody that I know that either played for him or coached with him, and many went on to become head coaches, Judge Mancini, Larry Matrazzo, Bob Blythe, Carl Flory, a lot like Jim Render, if you think about it.
Well,
the winningest coach in the WPIL.
And he'll let you know anytime.
I know, and also I'm Digger's friend. I know Jim Render.
Render's unbelievable. He's
great,
incredible. And of course, there was a night we had Lou Holtz, Larry Karras, Larry Bruno, and Jim Render down in the front room at the old Sturgis house. And people were trying to get in through the windows to hear their conversation.
This place, I know how much it means to you, and we're all, Father Time is catching up to us, but just explain the love of this community, the respect for Coach Holtz, this school district, this region, football. But the people that are enshrined here, they're not all athletes or students, scholars. They're basically just people who had a lasting impression on this community, the Ohio Valley. And you've even brought some huge dignitaries like Regis Philbin, Ted Arnaud, but Dean Martin. Just tell everybody the premise of the Lou Holtz Upper Ohio Valley Hall of Fame. Digger.
Well, when Coach Holtz left Notre Dame, we asked him to consider creating a museum. This was a bank, it was empty. He said, I won't do this for Lou Holtz, but I'll do it if you honor other people from the Valley who have made significant contributions to society. So that's how we started. So we've honored people from business, industry, medicine, they're all on the wall here, individuals.
Incredible.
And that's how we started.
The Clementi, number 21, I'm going to let you talk about him, or as the late great Bob Prince used to say, now batting number 21, Bobby Clementi. You think he was the greatest Pirate of all time?
Well, I've followed the Pirates since before the World War II, and of course, he was born 22 days before myself, and I always sort of felt closest to him because of the same age. I never saw a baseball player anywhere, and I'm talking DiMaggio, Mantle, Williams, and he just was the smoothest player. He'd throw a ball in from right field underhand better than most of these guys can throw it today.
You and your grandson actually did a tour of these stadiums, right? Tell the folks about that.
Well, we started with the Cubs, just going down to spend a couple days in Chicago, and I said, you know, Tom, by the way, he had twin grandchildren in the last 6 months, but I said, let's try to do all the ballparks. So it took us 5 years, but we did every ballpark and wrote a book about it and had a great time.
What drives you to still want to do this all these years later when you could kind of take it easy, but the passion is there, the drive is there, but as I said, Father Time, you, me, everyone, the wheels, you kind of slow down a little bit, but you still are so passionate about this.
Gretchen and I, who incidentally was, of course, a football coach's daughter, Dyke Beatty at Youngstown State, and Sonny Vaccaro, there's a whole new tie-in.
Played football there,
and,
right?
We celebrated our 65th wedding anniversary.
Renewed your vows?
And renewed our vows last week, and I just sent out 135 thank you notes because we didn't have any, we just had our immediate family there. So I sent out notes, and we had a nice printed program. And Mayor Bricker, he was the officiant for the ceremony. And Gretchen, unfortunately, has broken her hip, but she's coming along. She's in good shape. And but we had the ceremony at the rehab center, and Jimmy Joe was there, took some nice pictures, and I sent pictures and the program and a request for no gifts, and you can send me a gift.
Absolutely.
Anyway, and it kept me kind of busy for a few days.
Well, before we get out of here, one other thing, Lou Holtz, the namesake of the Upper Ohio Valley Hall of Fame, his son Skip, and I talked about this on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show on KDK Radio this past week. Skip, the USFL Coach of the Year, pretty cool.
Yes, that's kind of, and they'll be playing this weekend at the former Fawcett Stadium.
Tom Benson.
Now Tom Benson Stadium in Canton. And I'm tempted to go over there with my friend Bob Sebo, and but going over will be easy, but coming home about 2 in the morning.
I know all about those times, leaving Patterson Field. But when you think about Larry Bruno, you were a kid, obviously, watching those games at Patterson Field. Pottery capital of the world. The town was booming. Crucible Mill in Midland was booming. People were working. Prosperity was everywhere. They were 12 across the sidewalk on one side, 12 across on the other side of the street on the sidewalk. Thursday night, everything was booming and open for business. It was an eclectic, magical, incredible period here in East Liverpool, was it not?
It was almost like Disney World. It was just... and the gang would stand on that corner where the Dairyland, that's where I met Lou, was standing on that corner at the Dairyland. And they were on the other corner where Fleming's was, which is now a drugstore. And then when they built the Dairyland, everybody shifted to the other corner. Of course, the Lincoln Highway came right through there. So you'd see bands of gypsies and carnivals moving from town to town Saturday night. It was really...
Well, the last thing about the connection between East Liverpool and Beaver Falls and why we're all connected from this tri-state, their 1970 state basketball championship, one of my heroes, Oscar Jackson, Gary Gooseby, I found out years later while sitting in then Farello's, now Casa de Emmanuel, Mr. Duffy or somebody said, oh yeah, Frank Chan, he's from East Liverpool. He was their coach when they won that state title.
That's right, Frank, and he's an inductee in his Hall of Fame. And one thing a lot of people don't know about Frank, he was an excellent, he went to W&J and was a very proficient mathematician.
Really?
And when we widened the track at Patterson Field, how do we get this angle right? Frank came down, there were some kind of instruments and measurements, and that's why that track is what it is today. In
closing, when you think of Larry Bruno, humble, passionate, loved football, but then you told me he was a pretty good magician too.
That's why they call him the magical coach.
You see? I know, voila.
He would come we live on a farm, as you know, and we'd sit on the porch, and Larry'd come down, and I'd get the kids, and he'd sit there and just do one trick after the other. But he was good. He was not just one of the mill. He was an excellent. And Jenny, his wife, was his subject for the cut the lady in half. So you know that'll bond a marriage pretty quick.
And by the way, that farm, Dyke Beatty, his wife, namesake, the penalty flag. So need I say more? We're all connected. I can't thank you. Much love to you and Gretchen, and I'm glad she's on the mend. Your family, Jimmy Joe Savage, the best for doing this. And I took it upon myself today to do this because as we get close to this dinner, July 29th, and the Larry Bruno Foundation and their beautiful facility on 7th Avenue, Beaver Falls, continues to grow, just remember, there would be no Larry Bruno Foundation or Larry Bruno if his loving parents didn't think, you know what, maybe this kid's going to make something out of himself. Let him carry the football at Patterson Field. And he's just been doing incredible things ever since. And even though he's been gone for a while, there is no place in this cradle of coaches that you go and mention Larry Bruno's name if there isn't a connection or somebody has a story. A genuine human being like this guy, Frank Dawson. From the Upper Ohio Valley Lou Holtz Hall of Fame in the heart of East Liverpool, Ohio, it's your Pratt Pack. Good night.